Respected Chairperson, panelists, and all the audience here, I must say that I can't have a better timing for this presentation given the fact that Madam has just set the stage with the agenda of the cloud. And I travel 4 days a week across the length and breadth of this country as I manage the sales of VMware. And we are one of the largest vendors for cloud globally. And I must say that the kind of work that is being done in the government today on the cloud side and the kind of presentation that has been put up and the kind of vision that has been put up, I dare say that we have 3,000 customers in the country and we are talking to a lot of customers on cloud, but this is perhaps the most advanced and the most holistic view that one has taken to address the challenges that exist in the infrastructure. And I will take you through probably the technology view of it as to what is VMware doing as a technology major on this side to address some of these challenges in the next 5-10 minutes. So if you look at IT, the challenge is we will always be pressured for greater agility and becoming more efficient, as the chairperson also put it at the end of his speech, that how do we utilize IT in the most optimal fashion is always a challenge. That is where technologies like cloud and virtualization come in to add to that. And if you look at what perspective are we looking at, the world is talking about cloud being the largest probably business opportunity that is post the web era. But if you take another look at it, what the internet did to us is it changed the way we are consuming services. When we look at all the e-governance applications we are looking at using the internet, we have real-time data. We don't go to a bank anymore. We have all the services available at the touch of a button. We don't book our tickets anymore through a travel agent. We just go to a Make My Trip or any one of those sites and we are able to book. But what has not changed is the way we deliver the services. So the front-end consumerization is happening at a very rapid pace. You have a mobile phone with more than 100 applications. You can download things at the click of a button. But how far has the data center changed in the back end to keep up to this demand of services? That is where the cloud is coming in to say that this is the infrastructure. We will share the infrastructure, like Madam mentioned, multi-tenancy. We are talking about how we can use an infrastructure which is very efficient. Otherwise, if we are operating in the same physical way, we would probably not have a data center big enough to manage the demands of citizens and applications in the government that we are talking about today. And if you look at one of the technologies that has really come in of age recently is virtualization. It's no more a technology that even government is looking at, or they have already used it in multiple places to very good advantage. It's become something which is very standard within data centers. So if you look at the slide, 2009 was when the number of VMs shipped is actually more than the number of physical servers shipped. And you can see that on the right-hand side of the slide that the number of VMs today that are being shipped is far, far more than the physical servers that are being shipped. Why did this technology take center space? Because you're using commodity hardware like Intel, which doesn't cost as much as the proprietary Unix boxes. You find resources very easily, given the fact that one of the challenges is how do you get resources in the government? Given that you have resources available quite freely on the Intel side, the cost is less. How do you build an infrastructure on top of this that can give you good performance, good scalability, good security, and which is easy to manage? This is where virtualization came in, and the ability to virtualize gave you elastic kind of platform where you can expand and contract based on demand and not compromising on any of the other governance features that you want in your data center. And if you look at the reason why this technology has taken center space today, the price performance in the x86 processors has really gone up. So we are talking about 12 core processors today. We are probably talking about 24 core processors in the next 1.5 years' time. So we are talking about ability to run thousands of VMs on top of a rack. So whereas today you require multiple servers to do the same. And if you look at virtualization, it's not limiting anymore. All applications can be virtualized. And we can virtualize all the hardware components as well, as I will speak about as I proceed on this. Let me give you a sneak peek into the future as well. So in 2008, we were 25% of the workloads worldwide were virtualized. In 2012, we are talking about the world being 60% virtualized. That means 60% of the x86 servers shipped today are using virtual workloads. And the figure is going to go up to 90 in the next couple of years. So it is no more a technology that is nice to have, it is a must-have, given the fact that we spoke about the savings of power, cooling, and being efficient within the data centers. There's no other technology that gives you this today at the face of it. And let me give you a sneak peek into what we are doing and where is this headed. I'm already saying that server virtualization is then, and I'm talking about what is now. So we are using software in an effective way to solve some of the challenges that has been spoken about by the eminent panel today. So if you look at what we are attempting to do today, virtualization brought in a lot of flexibility to the server and compute environment. But is that enough? When we talk of cloud on one side, we are talking about self-provisioning. We are talking about ability to self-service. Self-service means you click a button and you get the service immediately. You don't wait for days for that to happen. I can do that on server and compute today using virtualization. But if you look at security, look at networking, look at storage, there is still a lot of areas where automation is not really possible to that extent as it is possible in the compute area. So what we are attempting to do with a software-defined data center is to have a holistic approach of software being used right across the data center to give you not only a virtual machine, but a virtual data center at the click of a button. That is precisely what is the promise of a software-defined data center. And if you see how we have progressed in 2008, we used to take weeks to provision. In 2012, we have been reduced it to days and hours depending upon your infrastructure. But in future, it will be nothing more than minutes or seconds to provision any infrastructure that we are talking about. This also helps because there is a lot of time that is taken to procure new servers in the government, and there is a lot of process that is involved. Giving a virtual machine is right-click and give it away, and the end users are happy because it doesn't consume any time to do that. And as I said, we are now looking at addressing holistically the security part. So today we have a firewall in a VM. Today we have the ability to virtualize networking components. Today we have the ability to virtualize storage. And there is a lot more coming and a lot more work that is happening in that area. So software-defined data center, I would say, is all infrastructure is virtualized and delivered as a service. And the control of this data center is entirely automated by software. And if I have to differentiate between virtualization and cloud, very often I see that there is a gap between calling a virtual infrastructure a cloud and calling a cloud a cloud. So for me, the difference between virtualization and cloud is the ability to automate. So virtualization gives you the ability to automate just the server and compute, whereas when we take it to infrastructure as a service, we want the whole infrastructure to be delivered as a service, not just compute. We are talking about security being automated, and a couple of my colleagues from the industry here spoke about that, and that is where we integrate with some of the industry vendors to provide the complete security solution for the cloud. Disaster recovery. Again, this is an area which we heard the nearline site being discussed. So today, if you look at a virtual infrastructure, with 3 clicks you can go to the DR site, and with 3 clicks you can come back to the primary site. That is the level of automation that is available today. Otherwise, it's a step of 14 manual processes, NATing, etc., pretty complicated. But a virtual infrastructure simplifies that to an extent where you are able to achieve a disaster recovery in a very short span of time. And then we spoke about compliance. Yes, this is a huge challenge where once you run virtual machines and you have thousands of those, you would want to know whether all of them are compliant, and there is a huge farm out there. So how do you automate that in a cloud to ensure that you have a screen that says that these virtual machines are compliant and these are not, so that action could be taken? How do you ensure that you have application provisioning in an automated fashion? Again, the app store which Madam spoke about. How do you get that app store in there? That is again the promise of the cloud. So you have the retail vendors, you have Android, you have iOS having an app store today. What does it take to provide the government an app store where application users can just go there, click, 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 and just get their application and move on? Why do we have to complicate things so much? So that is the promise of the cloud again, where you will see simplification of the way the end users access the application itself. Self-provisioning, this is again software that is being well used by the Maharashtra government, where it has been implemented for all the key applications in the government, and also the ability to charge back. So we are reaching an era where end users would come, ask for what they want from the site, click, 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 it will go through an approval chain, already delivered, and there is a chargeback model. It just charges them based on the usage, and all we do is just set the system up and it works in an automated fashion. That is again the promise of the cloud or the software-defined data center that we are talking about. And again, it manages mixed environments. There is no one operating system that we are talking about here. We support 64 different operating systems on top of x86, and that's the promise of the cloud. Again, it is open. It's available in a wide variety of operating systems, support for multiple storage devices, integration with multiple security vendors and management vendors as well. So this is the true vision of the cloud that we are talking about, which is much, much beyond virtualization itself. But virtualization, again, is very important because that is what gives the cloud the flexibility, the ability to expand and contract on a need basis, and you can build your cloud on top of the virtual platform. So virtualization is the first step to cloud computing. And if you look at how do we measure success, so today we are talking about being efficient to the extent that the cost per VM on an average would be about $1,000, whereas our future design goal with the software-defined data center is to bring it down to about $100. When we are talking about RTO, RPO, we are talking about less than 5 minutes. We want to reduce it to less than 1 minute with the softwares that I'm talking about. The ability to manage, we are talking about 300 VMs being managed per admin, but very soon in the next year, year and a half, you're going to see almost 10,000 VMs being managed by one admin. So that is the scale that you're going to see us take this ability on the cloud side. So we have multiple customers here from the government and the public sector. I'd just like to spend a minute, I'm run out on time, on what we are going to do in the next 6 to 8 months as well. So there is a lot of work happening on the networking side. So software-defined networking or network virtualization is the next adjacent piece that is coming in. So we acquired a company called Nicira there, spent almost $1.3 billion doing that. But again, you're going to see drastic simplification of the networking architecture in the next 6 to 8 months, where software comes in to do a lot of switching work on the networking side. Similarly, on the storage side also, you're going to see something like virtualization of the LUN itself going forward, which is still physical. So which is where we believe that the provisioning time will come down to seconds when we automate the networking and the storage bit. Security is already virtualized and available in a format, and excellent integrations available with industry-leading vendors today. So with that, I think there is a lot of promise that the cloud brings in, and especially when we look at the scenario here, where we have to support the government, e-government's applications, and the demand many a times cannot be predicted, and the elasticity of the cloud, and now that it has a good security and management also built in, we should be able to use this technology effectively to deliver services for all the e-governance applications. Thank you.